This is my baby, but it could be an ugly baby. I need to find out, what's ugly about it.
So valuable.
There's no bigger pressure test than really going to someone and say, I'm going to build this and I want you to pay for it. They might say no, but what if you make it so good that they have to say yes?
This episode is all about Welcome to episode 2 of Founders Plus AI. Real talk for founders building big with AI. I'm Michelle Akhidenor, founder, NYC-based podcast producer, and you're in the trenches guide, asking the questions you're probably thinking. And I'm here with Boon Chew, AI builder, founder of Centura Lab AI, and the guy who's here to help us cut through the noise and actually build what works. So you've got an idea, but do people actually want it? This episode is all about finding product to market fit before you build. No code, no fluff, just real validation. So we're going to cover how to test demand, fake your product before it's real, and really spot the signals that matter. So Boon, let's dive straight in. So first question I've got for you is, how do you pressure test an idea before building anything?
Yeah, good question. Pre-AI, you'll get one answer. And since we have AI now, I need to incorporate AI into the answer. I think with AI, you do get sort of a sounding board. So going to AI and really ask AI proper questions about your idea would be one, right? Like just asking AI, like, is there anything that you think is not good about the idea, and see what AI comes back with. Prime AI to be very critical, obviously, and see what it comes back with. Another thing I really like to do when it comes to pressure testing an idea is to figure out all the ways it can fail. Because you really want to know that. Because now, if you systematically remove all the ways that it could fail, it doesn't mean you will succeed in a big way, but at least it won't fail, right? At least you're in a good spot there. So I think pressure testing requires obviously asking good questions to AI, pitching an idea to people around you, see how they react to it, especially people who have like close ties to you. But it's really looking at things from the angle of, because a lot of people get too excited about the idea that they go into it with the wrong frame of mind. Because what they really should go into is to say, this is my baby, but it could be an ugly baby. I need to find out, what's ugly about it, right? And so they need to really attack it from many different angles. And another way is to look at what similar things are out there and see what sort of issues they run into, or they ran into when they first launched. Sort of learn from them, right? Learn from the predecessor and see. But even before that, before learning that, is predict that. Like you take an idea that is similar to yours, and you look at that thing and say, what made them fail or what made them succeed, and you check, what kind of challenges they ran into when they first launched. Sort of guess the answers, and then have AI or have some research sort of feed those answers back at you. So right now with the whole deep research in AI, it can give you so much data in terms of what sort of challenges an idea that is similar to you or not ran into when it first got launched, and it just makes it very easy to pressure test it. Of course, there's no bigger pressure test than really going to someone and say, I'm going to build this and I want you to pay for it. Right? That's the biggest pressure test, because nothing speaks louder than someone opening up their wallet for you. So getting an investor, going up to an investor, even if you're very early on, like you have only an idea, and say, would you invest in this? You are obviously going to refine your pitch over time, and you see how they react to it. What kind of questions they come to you. That questions they come to someone who's going to open their wallet for you is going to help you pressure test your idea as well.
I love that you gave the feedback about pitching to investors early on. I think my follow-up question there is, as founders, I hear you say, just, go pitch your very early idea to investor. I go, right. Oh my goodness, what if that's my only shot with that investor? What if they won't hear me out again? What feedback would you have for us, for those of us who are perhaps a little nervous when it comes to actually reaching out to an investor and pitching and not wanting it to be the only time?
Yeah, exactly. Good question there. So it's as if you're looking for a job. You're looking for a job, you want to bomb the job that your dream job, for example. Then don't go to the dream job yet, right? Find 10 other jobs you don't really like is similar, but you probably won't want to go, and just do your practice there. So that's one strategy you can use, is really go to just do a ton of pitches, a lot of job interview per se, in the analogy, and really get the pitch done like down right, right? Then you go to that big one. The big one, I probably won't go to them until I have some product in hand so they can see it. You really want to sort of increase the hit rate. But there are a lot of people out there that you can just approach them and ask for the advice or ask them to invest. And then they're happy to come in here and show that they know what they're doing and then tell you what's wrong with your idea. And you just kind of take notes and do that. But you're absolutely right. Don't go to the one investor you want to get money from. And, first, really, really perfect the pitch and build the product as much as you can and get some early data before you go to those people. You also want to know, if you go in there and expecting that you're going to get money from them, that energy you go in is also going to be different as well. I don't go into an investor meeting with the intention to want to take money from them. I go in there with the intention to want to make them more money. That conviction has to be there. Because when someone comes to me to get me to invest in the idea and I sense the energy is to get my money, and the moment I say I'm going to have to pause or think, and I can sense that drop in energy, that's not the kind of founders I want to be working with. So because when you go to an investor, remember this, it's not just the cash you're after. It is their wisdom and experience and connections as well. Those things are probably sometimes worth more than the money you get from them. So when you go to them, first of all, be grateful they're sitting down and give them your time, and really kind of see what kind of wisdom you can squeeze out of them. That to me is valuable. So money is only that thing where they want to join you on a journey. But they don't come in right now doesn't mean they won't come in later. But you want to value the time, the advice, and all the feedback you get from them. So I think going into an investor meeting with the right mindset, whether you get the money or not, will always allow you to squeeze the most out of the the meeting with them. Yeah.
Such valuable advice. And you mentioned before, before you get to that really great kind of, your dream investor, whoever it may be, you want to almost come with a product in hand. Now, this episode is all about product market fit before we even build. What are some of the early signals that we should be looking for in those early conversations when we're pitching an idea, whether it is to ChatGPT or it is to an investor or someone in person? What are some of the early signals? How can we distinguish if our idea isn't just some cool idea and something that people actually want?
Yeah, I don't usually look at positive signals as much. Meaning when people say, "Oh, I love the idea," I don't trust it that much. So the signal I trust more are more the critical signals, doesn't mean they're right, but at least they're questioning it. So when they question it, it could mean that my pitch is not right, or I'm hitting the wrong customer, the wrong audience. So that helps me sort of home in on who I'm serving, what I'm creating. Like, am I creating for the right audience? And so is the audience I'm talking to the right person that I'm talking to right now? Those things will give you the right signal as well. So it's hard. I mean, without a product, to get too much like signal. Like otherwise, everyone would just be doing that. But you want to get as much signal as you can, and they might say no. But what if you make it so good that they have to say yes? What if you say, if you join right now, and when I launch it, it's going to be $300 or whatever, I'm going to just charge you $30 right now. So it's also a way for you to sort of exercise your salesmanship, which is to package that deal so good that before you even build that, someone is willing to open their wallet for you. If you're not able to do that, and people want to actually see it, it could mean many, many things. One could just be that you're not able to really verbalize or make people visualize the product that you're trying to build. And so then you have to actually go build something to show them. That thing that you're building could be just a prototype, but you have to also get signals to say, have I really exhausted what I can squeeze signal-wise from this phase before I go to the next phase? Talking to the right people, like if the person you're talking to is the right or wrong person, and also knowing when to stop that phase and move on to the next phase, and also understanding what to ignore. This is the tricky thing about giving advice. It's not about what to do sometimes. It's knowing when to do what, right? Like what to do is easy. You just follow it. But problem is you don't get the results if you just follow the advice. You actually have to know when to do it and when not to do it. So a lot of that comes down to you kind of just doing it and then not getting what you want and be like, oh, actually this advice, I followed it, but I followed it at the wrong time. Yeah.
So valuable. I want to talk a little bit about, you said there's build and then there's pre-build.
Yeah.
And you said you need to know what time? Like how long should I be in the pre-build and just kind of getting those signals, and when should I build? What is the typical duration? Like, can you give us some goalposts of, what the parameters should be for us?
Surprisingly, with AI, the build phase is should be immediate.
Okay.
Yeah, because the whole vibe coding thing that is out there, vibe coding is now more powerful than no code tools. No code tools tends to be very sort of template based, and can't do a lot. There's not a whole lot of logic that can be built into it because it's all no code. But vibe code is very powerful. It's actually AI coding it for you, but you're just telling AI what to code. You're just sort of giving AI the vibe of what you're trying to achieve there, right? So doing vibe coding, it's almost like the same as you buying a gift for someone. You're not telling the shopping sort of thing what to buy. You're saying, I want to buy Michelle this and something, of this, nature or whatever. And then the tool would figure it out for you. So I think there's going to be a lot of vibe-ish type of technology that's going to come out with the whole AI thing. And vibe coding is one of it. So you use vibe coding to really just tell it the tool and say, I want to do this, and it can crank out a fully functional product for you to go test. So there's, with the whole AI thing in place right now, there's really no reason to stop or to prolong going into the build phase. Because that is something that you have to hold in your hand to get a feel for. So yeah, the action taking part can be really quick with AI. Yeah.
Wow, I did not know about vibe coding.
Yeah.
For everyone listening in who's non-technical and, a founder like myself, where do we go to start with that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of tools that are out there, and this could be another opportunity for you to explore, or for me to explore, because a lot of people can benefit from things like that. We can literally do like an AI training for founders, right? And then teach them vibe coding. Literally sit down for half an hour. You will know how to crank out code.
Wow.
So there's already tools out there, quite a few tools out in the market where you can, either it's a web-based or a desktop-based, where you download and you can just speak into it. Like you can type into it and say, I want to do this. And it will just crank out code for you. And yeah, there's tools out there where you can just tell it what you want and just fine-tune it. Every time you fine-tune it, the code just keeps rewriting itself. And then finally you get what you want. It all with a pretty good interface as well. So again, it cannot do all the way. Like sometimes you end up spending more time on the last 20%, but at least you get 70% of the way there for you to go validate that with the audience. So it's still very good.
I love that. We will absolutely be popping some links in the show notes to align with that, because I think being able to just jump on and learn how to do that is going to be everything. When we listen to feedback and try and get those early signals, how much of it should we be listening to? I say that to say that I feel at times you sit down with an investor or with investors and they're going to give you their own personal opinion based on what they've seen and done. How much of that should we take as gospel, quote unquote, and how much of it should we take with a grain of salt? What is the best way for us as founders to kind of assess the feedback we're getting in those very early days?
Yeah. Just keep in mind, number one, the advice that you get a lot of times from people are people who have never built before. They invest, but they don't build. Yeah. So they give you what they see elsewhere, but it may not be applicable to you. So I always take it with a grain of salt. Because there's so many nuances in everything. So you cannot just listen to them, because if they're so good, they could have built the $1 billion product rather than just invest, right? They could have built it themselves. But success is very hard to replicate, because you do so many things right, including luck, to make a big hit. But you may only do a few things wrong to make it fail. So when I listen to people's feedback, of course, the thing that I am listening to is why these are the things they are saying that is keeping them from writing the check, from investing in you, or for buying your product. Now, whether they're right or not, that's the perception. So the signal, even if it is not right, is still something for you to look at and say, do I need to improve my communication, my messaging, to make sure that they don't have that objection anymore? So that signal can either be directly impacting the product itself, or it could be impacting the messaging of the product. So you have to look at the message and say, what's causing that person is it because they need more education on the topic, or is it because my product indeed does lack that feature that they're looking for? So that part. And then the other thing too, you have to assume also is that, are they even the right person that you should be serving? So they could be complaining it's legit, but they're not the right customer you should be serving in the first place. So if you take what they say and then you go implement that, but they end up not being the customer that would actually be your customer anyway, then you just sort of push the product in the wrong direction now. So there's a little bit of nuances there. But again, all that stuff now you have AI to sort of be a filter to help you sort of sort things through. Doesn't mean AI is right, but at least you get a second sort of another opinion from it that can help you sort of get clarity. Because everything comes down to clarity. Everything comes down to clarity, right? That's why the more clarity you have in terms of what you're doing, the quicker you can to success. And so everything that we're trying to do day to day is just gain clarity. And so you have to sort through the noise and the signals and then really take that and put it to good use. But you're right that don't just go in there and say, oh, they are investor, they're coming from this big VC, whatever, so they must be right. No, they could be wrong. You could be right. You just don't want to assume that before you go into any meeting. Yeah.
So valid and such valuable advice. What is the biggest mistake that you see founders making at this very early stage idea, trying to find that initial signals of product to market fit or product investor fit, if you want to call it? What are some of those biggest mistakes?
Yeah, there's so many mistakes. It's so almost hard to tell. Like it's just hard to pin down like the biggest. But the most common one is partnership fallout, like getting the wrong partner. And then, they even doing 50-50, for example. I know some investors don't mind that, but I think if you get into 50-50 with two founders instead of three, like three ways, you get into a gridlock. What do? You don't really want that sort of situation to happen, right? That's one of the biggest, I would say, in terms of that. Analysis paralysis, sitting on an idea too long, not really act on it, especially in the AI age, is big. You really need to just go do it. Even if it's not right, just go do it because you might discover something as you do it, right? So the action part is also very important. But maybe another thing too is to also not have enough options on the table to consider and just jump at it. Hey, sometimes going too fast is also not a good idea. You want to look at, okay, maybe I have five options right there. Which one should I go with? And do it. That's the reason why we have GPS, is so you don't take too many wrong turns. So just simply doing it blindly and quickly also doesn't work. You have to have some GPS as well. So getting advisors in to sort of ask questions as you do it, but do it quick. It's important to get speed and accuracy, right? You cannot just go speed and no accuracy. Then you can just bump into walls and stuff. So I think these are some of the common things that we see in terms of people failing. It's getting the wrong partners, partnership fallout, vision starts deviating at some point, but having no mechanism to account for that. Having no mechanism to say, oh, now we deviate, what do we do now? If you have that mechanism put in place to account for that, and when it happens, you kind of just let it continue, that would solve a lot of issues there. But yeah, I mean, these are some of the sort of things that we see pre-AI or during the AI sort of era that people need to pay attention to when they do their own startup. Yeah.
I want to talk a bit about timing. You keep bringing it up, and I love that. But I just want to understand when you say, taking too long. What's too long? Like a couple of months, a month, 3 years? Like what's the parameter there?
Yeah, good question. Too long means that you are not getting signals anymore just by sitting there, right? That's one metric. I'm just talking about it. I'm just reading a research paper. Nothing is. You need to get feedback and signals back from the market. And until you push the product out there, you don't have that signal. So you can sit there forever. Nothing is going to happen. I mean, I can right now go create the worst tasting ice cream in the world, but I might still be able to sell one or two of them. And I'll get signals from that. I know that. So I think sometimes it's also that you have an idea that you think you like, but you actually don't like it. But how do you not know that you don't like it until you do it? Because you do it for 2 months and you just hate getting out of bed to deal with the customers because you didn't know, but now you realize that you actually don't like the customers. How do you know that until you do it? So not waiting too long is important because it gives you signals from many different angles. It's not just a product market fit. It could be fit for you too. It doesn't fit you. So the founder market fit could be an issue there, right? Hey, I just don't know enough about the product, or I don't like the product enough for me to even be doing it, but I didn't realize that until I actually do it. So a lot of these things don't come into being until you actually do it. So waiting too long and sitting on there don't really help. So err on the side of doing it sooner than later. Yeah.
What would you say to the founder that goes, that sounds great, but I'm working a job and I'm running a business and I'm so busy in my day to day, but I know I've got this idea. I just don't I don't really know 100% if it's something, me diving in straight away, I can always put it off because I'm so busy with my other stuff. What would you say to that founder?
Yeah, it's an opportunity cost issue. That's one thing they have to think about too.
Yeah.
If you're doing a hobby project and it's only going to make you $5 a month, by all means, if you don't do it. But if you say, oh, I'm making good money from my job, $300,000, $200,000 a month, but your idea is probably worth $3 million first year, how much money are you making now? You're actually losing money every month, hundreds of thousands every month on the table that you're not taking. So I think the opportunity cost is one thing that people constantly have to keep in their head. There's nothing wrong with working full-time, but working full-time and not doing something on the side, there's opportunity cost involved with that. There's opportunity cost involved in not trying new things, for not integrating AI into your workflow and all that stuff. So you have to kind of it's not easy to calculate, right? Because you always assume the opportunity cost is zero, but it's not. Because someone else doing it, they are reaping the benefit from that. So I think they have to keep that in mind. To hopefully that would sort of jolt them, but also understand that this whole AI thing right now is such a golden era. You get a lot more leeway building something right now than later. So why give that up? You can always build that. 10, 20, 30 years, there's always going to be opportunities. But right now is a special moment. Yeah.
It's a special time. It really is.
Yeah.
I think there's, as you mentioned, there's all that opportunity cost thinking, should I build small? Should I build bigger? I've got other things I'm working on and things like that. What would you say around that decision to build big and to think about, okay, for example, maybe my AI idea is worth $10 million versus what I'm doing now? What would your advice be to founders about making the decision to go all in, to actually commit to building big?
Yeah. Again, they may not have to go all in, of course, right? Some people have obligations, some people don't. So the going all in part will add some complexity and stress, obviously, to the thing, but that sometimes doesn't have to get in the way of them thinking big. I think most people don't mind having a lot of money in their bank, right? They're not going to say, I don't want too much money in my bank. They may not chase that, but they're not going to mind that because they can do a lot more with it, right? Because again, the goal is this: whatever it is that you're doing, if it is worth doing, you're going to put a lot of energy into it. But why go small? Because if you go small, then you're limiting what you can do with it. Unless you want to just build a lot of very small things, and that's okay as well, right? That's one strategy you can do. At the end of the day, what you're trying to do here is to create something for the market, because the market is going to say, you are changing my life, you're improving my life. I'm going to give you a vote, which is the dollar, whatever, so that you can build more useful things for me. And so you want that sort of vote to be big, so that you are impacting lives. You are changing. So I think there's no reason to think small unless there's technical difficulty or other reasons for that. So I would say that, and it's also more exciting as well. I think it's more exciting psychologically to be working on something that has a prospect of, becoming something big. Doesn't mean you got to go big on day one. Of course, it's going to take time, but it can grow. I think most of us have this mindset that we want to grow into something bigger than ourselves. And that's why the purpose-driven part is so powerful, right? Because you're creating something so much bigger. It's not just for yourself, it's just for your comfort. It's the mission. You're helping people. That thing, I think, is innate. So that big thing is not even about just for the sake of being big. The big thing is what inspires you. Because it's changing so many people's lives, and so I think that part, that inspiration part, the part where it is so impactful and so mission driven, and I think big things tend to be mission driven, and so I think that is going to excite you and make it worthwhile as well. You're going to run into challenges. Running into challenges and you have something big, like inspirational and big that you're working on, it's actually to me, psychologically, it's a little easier to overcome and bear that out than working on something small. Because why would I bear such a big pain for something small? I want to work on something so big that if it is painful, I'm still going to power through it because it's worth it. The effort is worth it, right? Yeah.
The effort is worth it.
Yeah.
I love it. Boon, as we start to wrap up, I just wanted to get your thoughts and feedback on my own personal AI startup idea, Peers AI. For those who didn't watch episode 1, it's an AI translation tool helping podcasters translate across multiple languages so that they can scale their growth. Boon, what should I be looking out for in those very early days of trying to understand how to achieve product market fit?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I get excited about your idea after the episode, and I spoke to you because first of all, you're giving access to a lot of people. This is never there before. I didn't even realize that there's no such a thing out there. So I think the fact that you come up with something that gives people more access to content is great. In terms of product market fit, I think you yourself know that there are some things that you just know that the market needs, right? Like, I'm translating a book to your language. Why would you not want that? So I think this part is, to me, it's, as long as you have the distribution, meaning that once you translate that and you can get it out to someone into their own hands, then that's not so I think for your idea, the product market fit is probably already there. The key part is more on the overall mode itself, meaning the overall offering itself, that you make it so complete that people don't come to you and go anywhere else. Because the product market fit is not just that. You can fit, but people can still switch because someone else can come up with another thing that fits as well, which is another translation tool. So for me, every product has different risk point when it comes to investing or building it. The risk point with your idea is more on the mode itself, not so much on the product market fit. I think the fit is there, right? Like we all want something that can be in our own native language, for example. But creating it in such a way that someone else cannot just come along and do the same thing and sort of take away all your effort, it's something that you have to kind of work on. And so I think that risk point, if you can solve that, would make it very investor friendly. Like it would make it very appealing to the investors. And that's something that I would put more attention on, which is to say, I'm creating this, but how do I do it in such a way that, and another thing to keep in mind, your stuff is AI driven. What does that mean? That means a lot of tools that we use right now is transaction based, meaning as we use them, we're just using them because we want to get something in exchange. But when you create something that's AI, especially if it requires some sort of feedback from the person who's using it, you are training the AI to become smarter. Now it's harder for me to switch because this person knows my tone and my style. So if you're not just translating, but you're actually capturing the tone and the style and all of that, that becomes harder for me to switch out to another platform because I have to retrain them. So that's something to sort of consider when you build your product market fit. Yeah.
That was awesome, Boon. I so appreciate your insight and feedback. That's the wrap for today's episode, all about how to find those very early signals of product to market fit. And in the next episode, we're tackling how to hire a team. And spoiler, it's not just about hiring engineers. Who knew? So make sure to hit subscribe so you do not miss what's next, and follow Centaur Lab AI on YouTube and LinkedIn, and join our newsletter to stay in the loop. If you've got an idea, pitch it to us there. We'll see you next time, builders.
This episode is brought to you by Ego, short for Your Extended Ego. Imagine an AI version of you nurturing relationships behind the scenes 24/7. Ego takes care of all virtual networking behind the scenes, all in your voice. Sometimes we simply don't have enough time. We forget to follow up, we forget details about that one person. But with Ego, you never have to miss out on a good connection. Ego, your network supercharged.